Leafs converts, hockey world, what is going on? This is the Leafs Convo podcast. My name is Norman James. It's great to be with you. Your buds have engaged in game action, a 4-1 winner in Lucan over those lowly Ottawa Senators. Just saying their name makes me feel bad. Mike and I are going to discuss the game, talk about what we liked, some of the things we didn't like. Does it matter at this point? Well, to Mike it does. He's ready to go. I'm ready to go. I know you're ready to go. So what do you say? Let's pod. The Leafs Convo starts right now. Here he is, the man, the myth, the magic. It's Mike Jello. Hello, sir.
Good morning, Norman. How are you?
Not too bad. Basking in the glow of a preseason Leafs 4-1 victory over the Senators in beautiful Lucan, Ontario. Lucan put on quite the show, and so did the Maple Leafs.
They did, although that score, I think, still traumatizes a number of fans of Leafs Nation, so you keep that in the back of your head. But, it was – let's just say this. For those who were – and I said this in my column after the game last night. For those who were oozing optimism regarding John Tavares joining the Leafs, you had no reason to come off of that after last night. And it was an exhibition game, but he looked very good in his debut in blue and white, scoring a couple goals and generally dominating when he was on the ice. So I think a lot of fans can't wait until the first week of October when we see him in games that really count.
I'm glad our Tavares watch hasn't gone from whether he's going to join the Maple Leafs to when will he ever score a goal. He got that out of the way pretty quickly. I know it's only preseason, but I mean, we're educated enough to realize it's still something. It's fun.
Yeah, it is. I mean, and I agree that, even though it is a preseason game and the event last night was more about Lucan than it was about the two teams. I mean, obviously the coaches are evaluating players, and we'll get to, who did well and who didn't. But yeah, I mean, it was a good thing that Tavares performed well in his first game. It was in Lucan, where relatively close to where he played a decent chunk of his junior career with the Knights, and Nazem Kadri and also Mitch Marner, who played with the Knights. That was a good thing that and Curtis McElhinney, who was born in London. So there was a London feel there, and all of those players played pretty decently.
Yeah, I wonder how Mark Hunter felt about the whole thing sitting in his office at Budweiser Gardens, probably stewing. Mike, Tavares with 2, he had an apple, Mitchie with another. I saw people lamenting the behind-the-back passes and the stretch passes and the no-look passes. Yeah. When you have a team this talented, that exudes this many skills, that's innate, you're going to see that kind of stuff. The question is, the timing, is it appropriate? Is it inappropriate? In an exhibition setting like this, who cares?
I'm not going to go down the road of criticizing them because they're making, behind the back passes and doing things. I mean, the only thing I'll criticize is the fact that 21 seconds into the game, Nazem Kadri had a flashback to say 2013 or 14 and made a rather dumb defensive giveaway deep in his own zone. It resulted in the only Ottawa goal. But it's an exhibition game, and there was a little snarl there between Mark Borieski and Adam Cracknell and a few other things. But in general, I mean, that's what's going to happen in the preseason. And when it gets down to the regular season, I mean, though the instances of seeing those type of plays will probably get you sat down by coaches like Guy Boucher and Mike Babcock. So I think that it's something you'll see for the next week or so, and then not see as much when the season starts in October.
Do you think Mike Babcock actually wonders to himself, what would Guy Boucher do?
No, but yeah, you know what I'm saying. Guy Boucher is a pretty good coach.
I'm kidding.
Yeah.
We've known each other for so long, Mike. My sarcasm sometimes
I know.
It detours around your brain, but other times, I mean, you're such a smart guy, you're thinking, that's not at my level, Norm. Let's do some pluses and minuses to keep with the hockey theme. Let's start with Curtis McElhinney because it's just such an important thing. How this guy does, how he fits into the greater picture.
Well, both McElhinney and Garrett Sparks had good nights, and I have to specify that because if I just say McElhinney, people will say I'm biased against Garrett Sparks, and I'm not. But in terms of the shots on goal and the difficulty of them, I think McElhinney, even though he faced only 13 shots, faced the more difficult ones. Sparks made 22 saves. He got saved by the iron a couple times. A couple shots hit off the crossbar. He was busier. But McElhinney made a great glove save. I think it was on Colin White in the first period. There was a scramble in the defensive zone where Ron Hainsey couldn't control the puck, and he scrambled out to knock it away. I thought he was the more impressive of the two, but Sparks was very good as well. And this is going to be a battle. You know, I said earlier that I thought there was a possibility that they would carry 3 goaltenders because they're afraid that they would lose Sparks on waivers. Everything that I've been told and has it been indicated is saying, no, it's going to be 2 goalies. So, you know, I think Sparks is going to have to outplay McElhinney to win that job. And last night, I think, was pretty much an even Steven.
It's essentially a numbers game for the backup goaltending carousel. What about the defenseman, Mike? What did you like? What did you not like? Plus, minus, go.
Travis Dermott had a pretty good night. I mean, he made a great stretch pass in the first period to set, I think it was Zach Hyman on a breakaway. He was pretty solid. A few hiccups early on, but that's to be expected. But I mean, Babcock's eyes are on Dermott. I mean, the expectation there is he's made the team. He's going to be on the bottom pairing, but he indicated in Niagara Falls that he basically wants Dermott to play like he has to win the job. And if he shows any complacency, then, you know, I think he could be in trouble, but he didn't show that last night. And he was paired with Igor Ozhiganov, and in his first game, and again, this is the first of probably 5 or 6 games he's going to play in the exhibition schedule. He was pretty impressive. He played well with Dermott, didn't seem phased even by the smaller North American ice. He's a big guy. He didn't use his size in terms of being physical, but I think there's a possibility he's going to be, if he makes the team, a guy who's on the second pairing in terms of penalty killing after Hainsey and Zaitsev. But it was a good debut for him, and Mike Babcock was suitably impressed. And Borgman had a good game too. He scored the goal, but I think it was Ozhiganov, you know, even though he didn't get on the scoreboard, I think he was probably the more impressive of the two.
This is the Leafs Convo. Norman James with Mike Augello. Thank you to all of our supporters, subscribers. Our most recent podcast, the collab between Mike and myself on YouTube, still burning up. And I've got to tell you, Mike, the conversation that has been spawned from our recent work focused on William Nylander has been second to none. Not only have things been cordial and respectful, the banter, there's a lot to learn. A lot of people demonstrating just how interested they are in the goings on with William Nylander and his lack of a contract. And it's really, really impressive. And I just wanted to mention that. I don't really think too many people care, but it's part of what we do. The overall package of the Leafs Convo is the YouTube channel and the comment section. And I've been really impressed. There's a synergy that is involved with us creating content, having people react to it, and you learn from what people are saying. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, and I mean, it's very easy for a conversation or for a debate to devolve into, a situation where people are going back and forth in a negative way. And I think right now, people realize this is a negotiation. It's not a holdout, as it's been called, because he doesn't have a contract. So, of course, he's not going to be in the lineup or at training camp until he does get a contract. And like we said in the last convo, I'm not encouraged in terms of this ending like in a day or two. I think it'll end before the beginning of the regular season. But, based on the talk that, we heard from guys like Nick Kypreos and Elliot Friedman last night, and Kyle Dubas made an appearance on the first intermission, right now it's, there's dialogue, but we don't know where it's going. And I, again, don't think that it's going to happen quickly unless one side sort of capitulates. And I don't think the Leafs are going to do that. So I think this could last for at least another week or maybe longer.
Another point on Travis Dermott. I don't take him for someone who puts the cart before the horse or believes he's entitled to anything. But with Mike Babcock repeating publicly, and I'm sure he's mentioned to Travis Dermott privately, that nothing's a given and he has to earn a spot. That's essentially the head coach mentoring the player in a way, trying to get his mental state right and his appreciation for what's ahead of him lined up properly.
Yeah, he's holding Dermott's feet to the fire. He's holding Andreas Janssen's feet to the fire. I mean, to a lesser extent, but although, it's been a longer process, he's holding Josh Levo's feet to the fire. Play the way I want you to play, hustle, work, and you think good things will happen. But if you don't give me the best effort, then you're going to find yourself either out of Toronto in the case of Levo, or down with the Marlies in the case of Dermott and Janssen. And I don't think that's going to happen, because I think they're both very talented players who showed that at the end of the season, last season, and during the Calder Cup playoffs. But, Babcock's going to press buttons, and he's going to say, nothing is a given here. You've got to hustle. You've got to put in the work. And if you do that, then you make the team. In terms of forwards last night, I mean, they had the Hyman, Tavares, Marner line together, which is a line that Babcock, ever since July 1st, said was going to be the combination. And he went out of his way, in spite of the fact that, Marner and Tavares combined for 5 points, to accentuate the contribution of Hyman. And I agree with that, because Hyman went in the corners, dug out the pucks, and went in front of the net and did the dirty work. And that's the type of player that Babcock likes. And that, I think, is going to be a key for that line, is to have a guy like Zach Hyman go out there and dig out pucks and get it to the players who are top end offensive players. And Hyman will kick in some goals. He missed on a breakaway yesterday, but he will score his, 15, 16 goals a year and get a bunch of assists like he did last year. And that's going to be a pretty good thing for that line and for the team.
This is the Leafs Convo. Norman James with Mike Jello. I hope this team is always assertive. I hope it's aggressive, and I hope that on more nights than not, the Leafs carry the bulk of the play. There are evenings where the puck luck has run dry. You're hitting iron. Goaltenders are making ridiculous saves. You're fanning on pucks, sticks are breaking. So be it. But you have to keep coming. You have to keep those motors running, and you have to be not only confident, but play to the capability of dominance that we project this team will have.
Yes, I agree with that. And I think that the focus, and I wrote about this earlier this week, the focus on this team, and it's refreshing. The focus is not on top 9 forwards, top 4 defensemen, even though the team could use a top 4 defenseman, but they really can't do anything about that now with the roster. There are not going to be any trades until in season. But the focus is on 4th line, bottom pairing, backup goaltender, which is refreshing, because we've talked about this team for years and how they needed this and how they needed that. And now they don't need those things. They just need those complementary pieces. And in looking at the, Levo had a good game last night. Trevor Moore had a good game last night. So there was contributions and I think Trevor Moore I know Babcock was effusive in his praise of Trevor Moore over the weekend. He may not make the team this year, but it may be in the near future, because he's one of these quick players who can contribute on special teams as well. But the negatives, and there weren't many. Carl Grundstrom, for the expectation after the Calder Cup playoffs last year, really didn't make a lot of noise last night. And I think, that will signify he just needs time in the AHL, have probably a full year before he comes on the Leafs radar. And Nazem Kadri, not because of just the giveaway earlier in the game. Kadri got walloped by Mark Borieski in the first period, and then he got checked by Rudy Balcers, one of the new Senators, in the third, and came up limping. It's like, we know that Kadri's there to stir things up, but he's also got to stay healthy. One of the big things about this team is to, have those top 3 centers, those, Kadri, Marner, Kadri, Tavares, and Matthews, and have them all be there to give them an advantage. And he's sort of got to avoid those situations where he could get hurt.
Even with all of these all-star parts, and even with all of this expectation, things have to fall into place for this team. And there has to be an environment of cohesion and calm and cooperation for success to be had, Mike. We've got to wrap it up soon. Anything else you want to add?
Well, the Leafs play Ottawa again in Ottawa or in Canada tonight. Austin Matthews, Patrick Marleau, that line, I assume it's going to be with Tyler Ennis because he skated with them and at training camp. They will be in the lineup. It'll be Gardner and Zaitsev. So, and I'm assuming it's going to be Freddie Anderson and Calvin Pickard as the goaltender. So it's the second half of the team. They're basically operating as a split squad, and I think they'll do that again Friday, Saturday when they play the Sabres in Toronto and then in Buffalo. So after that, I think you're going to see cuts, and I know we'll do another convo sometime on the weekend, but I have a feeling, it's going to cut down significantly, probably to like 30 or 31. And then you'll really get into, more of a microscopic look at the battles for position.
Anyway, Mike, that about sums it up. Thanks so much for your expertise. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Norman.
There it is, folks. Quick and dirty. That's a wrap on the Leafs Convo podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Patreon.com/Leafs Convo partners. Your opportunity to sign up for exclusive content from Mike and I for just $5 a month. That's it. You're also helping the health of the podcast in the process. So thank you very much for even considering it. We have Leafs Convo fall gear at bonfire.com. I'm grabbing myself a hoodie. Can't wait to cop that, then sport that for the masses to show how much I love the Leafs Convo, and I know you do too. We'll be back very soon, so stay tuned. For Mike Augello, I'm Norman James. Thanks for listening. We out.